This episode of the Capsule in Conversation is brought to you by Harrogate Springwater. Harrogate is the home of the British Spa and Britain's premium natural source water. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Capsule in Conversation. I'm Natalie Anderson and today I'm joined by one of Coronation Street's stalwart stars, Samia Longchambon, to talk coping in adversity, carrying on regardless and keeping up with the cobbles. So settle down, turn us up and get ready to join in with our conversation. Hello all, I hope you're all well and are enjoying the long bank holiday weekend. Can you believe we've got another day off tomorrow? I mean, we've only just got going again. Still, we're not going to complain. It's been nice to feel some kind of normality, and moaning about the good things is probably as normal as we can get, right? I'm also pleased to say I've finally had my roots done, so I'm feeling extra fresh this weekend. And someone who's always beautifully fresh-faced is my special guest today. She looks even more amazing today. She's a Corrie legend, a former dancer on ice, and a Stars in Their Eyes champion. It is the multi-talented and super gorgeous Samia Longchambon. Hi, Samia.
Hi, gorgeous girl. What an intro. Wow. Thank you.
All true, all true. And look, you see now, anyone that's watching could go, oh yeah, we see what she means. She looks amazing.
I so don't, but thank you. I'll pay you later. I love how you said stalwart right at the beginning of it. It makes me feel really old.
I would prefer legendary to old.
Okay,
I think that's
all right,
a better way
fine.
of looking at it.
Stalwart's all right. It's okay. I'll go with that.
We've not caught up in ages. I mean, how's 2021 treating you?
Touch wood, so far so good. I mean, all things considered, I think the fact that, you know, we've got our health and I can still go to work at the moment is great. Yeah, it's just a weird time, isn't it?
It definitely is. I mean, for me, I feel like there is light at the end of the tunnel. Definitely. I think the weather helps. You know, now we're moving into full, spring. But 2020 obviously was the most challenging year. And the soaps did, I don't know how you all did it, to be honest, but the soaps really did amazingly at just keeping the nation's spirits up and just keeping going. I mean, what was that experience like for you, filming in that situation?
Well, I mean, before we went back filming, it was just so weird. Like, apart from my 2 maternity leaves, that's the longest I've ever had not working at Corrie. And to think that the whole building was shut down, that was something that has never happened in 60 years. So it was just so strange to think that nobody was in work making the show for 3 months. But yeah, going back, we were one of the first back. And we had to go straight back and film a socially distant wedding between Gary and Maria, which was just weird because me and Mikey were 2 meters apart at all times, but getting married. I mean, you know, like I said, we're super grateful just to be in work and to be able to be making the show for everybody. But it's definitely weird. It's a very different atmosphere at work at the moment.
So
Very
I was going to
different.
say then, has that now impacted how you do everything at the minute? Because, you know, obviously
Yeah.
that would have been probably a skeleton cast when you first went back and there'd be more people now. But
Yeah.
is that just the way you do things now?
We're kind of used to it, you know, and it seems weird even saying that, but me and Mikey were actually chatting the other day and we were doing a scene and with a 2 meter distance as per usual now. And even Mikey said to me, it's going to be so weird when we're allowed to be near each other again in these scenes. We'll be sort of thinking, back off, back off.
Yeah.
We've kind of got used to that distance now. And I've got used to doing my own hair and makeup. I mean, I'm not sure I'm doing a great job, but I'm used to it. And you have to kind of, you get into work and your costume's hung up on your dressing room door, your makeup bag's outside your door, nobody's allowed in your dressing room, and that's it. You're in your dressing room until you're called for your scene, and then you're 2 meter distant from whoever you're doing the scene with. So we're not really seeing each other as much either. We
That
can
must be
kind of go in.
so hard because you're a family, like, and the banter and
Yeah,
the jokes and that must be so
yeah.
hard for you
I
all.
think the weirdest place at the moment for me is the canteen, because
Mm.
the canteen has always been like the hub where we see everyone from the office and we see all the crew and each other at lunchtime. And we usually sit at like a really long table and we're all crammed in like sardines eating our lunch. And you go in now and there's like big plastic shields up between each table. You've got to sit 2 meters apart, and it's kind of, it just feels so weird. It's not, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like,
It seems very clinical to me, like what you're
yeah,
describing is very clinical. And
yeah.
does that have an effect on your scenes as well? Because obviously you in the show you'd be used to, like as you said, doing more intimate scenes where you're closer together and you can kind of really, that character work as well. Has that changed?
I guess so. I mean, hopefully people let us off a bit. But I guess so. I mean, especially for scenes where you've got to show emotion and be intimate, and
Yeah.
like the kissing scenes are obviously gone. Um, so I guess it does impact the scenes a little bit, but we're trying not to.
Mm.
We just have to do those kind of intimate scenes with a look now rather than a kiss.
But you're obviously doing an amazing job because, I mean, the show is absolutely motoring on and doing brilliantly. And now, as I said at the beginning, you've been there for 21 years now playing Maria. And I'm not going to go with surnames because she's had a few. So we just thought we'll leave that one to one side. But, you've been at the heart of some of the show's biggest storylines. We've had murder, infidelity, unrequited love, and more sensitively, stillbirth. And you've had your
Mm.
fair share of Corrie's, cat fights and viewers that you've been giving the viewers some really iconic soap moments. Has it felt like 21 years, or has it been like you've blinked your eye and all of a sudden you're here now?
Both, I think. I would have to say both. I think, I don't know. I think life in general goes faster
Mm.
as you get older, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It seems like 2 minutes since I was 17. I was only 17 when I joined Corrie, and I can still remember my first day clear as day. I can't remember what I had for my dinner last night, but I can remember my first day on Corrie so clearly. It was Easter Sunday on in May 2000, April 2000. I was on screen in May. And yeah, my first scene was with Bill Tarmy and obviously Alan Halsall,
Oh.
and it was just, yeah, it was such a special feeling going in and sort of being able to sit in the green room with all the legends, Jack and Vera and those kind of characters. It's yeah, it's a proper privilege to still be there so long after.
And you beat two other actresses for that job, Kimberly Walsh and Suzanne Shaw as well, to get Maria. And the thing is as well, I think, with soap, it's the breadth of things that you're able to do in a soap is incredible. That as we said, murder, infidelity, so many different rom-coms and stuff that's really serious. It's, out of everything that you've done, which would you say has probably been some of your most memorable storylines?
Um, oh gosh, I think the early days with Tyrone and living with Jack and Vera, that's like will always make me feel warm inside when I think about that, because it was just so lovely. And then sort of all the stuff with Carla and when she was married to Liam and the
Mm.
murder, and then she got engaged to the murderer. And then, like you said earlier, the stillborn stuff, and then sort of in the last few years, I guess the Aidan, Eva, Maria love
Yeah.
triangle and the big fight in the fountain. That was all
That
fun.
was amazing. I mean, I have to say, like with you and Kath, that was brilliant. I remember watching it and going, "Oh, they've loved that." The wedding dress and
It
everything.
was so much fun. It was. I really felt for Kath though, because she had like that massive wedding dress on. I was all right. I had like my trackies on. They did originally want me to wear. I think it was like a rabbit onesie. For those scenes, and I was like, "Are you having a laugh? Like, I can't wear a rabbit onesie. That's ridiculous." Because he wanted it to be like Maria's just left the house in a onesie to have a fight and ruin the wedding. And I was like, "Can I not just please just wear my tracksuit? It's going to be way more comfy than a furry onesie." So yeah, they let me wear the tracksuit.
Well, like you say, thank God as well. I mean, yeah, I mean,
Oh
I can't
God,
really that's such a random thing to be
Oh, it was so
wearing.
random. It was so random. I think they seem to like putting me in silly costumes. They put me in a lion onesie once for a scene and dressed me up as a lion. It's she's kind of a bit of a joke underneath, I think, Maria. Can't
But
really
then,
take a
come on,
serious
she's
one.
had some incredible costumes as well, some incredible wedding dresses, I have to say. I was just looking on your
Yeah.
Instagram the other day. I was like, oh, wow, that one's beautiful. You've had some amazing ones too. Now, your mum, Patsy, was actually an actress as well, wasn't she? I mean,
She wasn't an actress. She was a singer. And
performer.
yeah, she kind of just fell into it. I think she blagged away into being a singer. And she used to be in the 70s. You're gonna love her stage name. She was called. I mean, she thought of this name herself. Bubbles Levine in the 70s. That was her stage name. And she had a band called The Deep Emotion. I mean, they didn't get very far. Um, but yeah, Bubbles Levine in The Deep Emotion in the 70s. That was actually how she met my dad, because she used to be a singer with her band in the hotels in the Middle East. She sort of went all around the world in hotels and stuff. It wasn't like kind of pop songs or anything. She used to do like Tina Turner covers, and yeah, she met my dad in a hotel while she was singing.
I mean, I love that Bubbles Levine, but in that
It's
decade,
just nuts, isn't
they
it?
all had those kind of names, didn't they?
Yeah,
Even
perfect for the 70s.
or like even Scott and Adam and Ryan's dad, with Dougie and the
Yeah,
Soul Train, they all had these kind of
exactly.
amazing like bands
Yeah,
and names, and
yeah.
look, seeing your mum like that, when you were younger, did you want a taste of that performing lifestyle?
God, I mean, I can't sing for toffee. I can't. I'm terrible. So I was never going to be a singer. But acting, no, not massively. I just kind of fell into it. Because I started doing modelling when I was 6, and doing the catalogue modelling like
Yeah.
Macro Male and Grattan and Littlewoods and all that. And then I just started going to drama classes from there, and carried on, and then obviously it all led to Corrie in the end.
And as we said, Coronation Street soap is notoriously hard on actors when you do have that huge storyline. It can really take it out of you. And just to talk about that amazing storyline that you did have with Maria, with the stillbirth of her first child,
Mm.
Paul. What was that like at that time for you? Because actually, in that decade, things were very different then. We as actors, it was like get on with the job. Just get on with it.
Mm.
But actually, I expect that probably really did take its toll on you. How was that for you at that time?
It was tough actually, because I think it was 2008, I think, when I was filming
Yeah.
that storyline. And it was before I'd had children, before I'd had my 2 kids. And when I got told about the storyline, I went home and told my mum, and she told me that she'd actually been through it herself. And she'd never told me that before. So that was quite a big deal, because I was like, oh wow, it was before she had my brother, my older brother. So it was quite a big deal, and I thought I need to get this right. For those so many other women go through it. So you always feel like a responsibility, don't you, with those kind of storylines, to get it right and be sensitive to those people sat at home watching it who've been through it.
You do,
So
but I
yeah,
think as well, like having had experience of a different kind of storyline, it does emotionally impact you. And I think that now, like with actors in particular, there is a bit more of a duty of care now in these, more modern times, because you just got on with it. And it's a hard thing to deal with, switching it off when you've been crying all day and then coming home and then
yeah.
being mum, or, as you say, you weren't at that time. But, what things did you do to kind of help you with those switch off points?
I think whenever I get storylines like that, like the serious and emotional ones, my go-to is always just sitting in my car and playing my dance tunes on the way home, and just kind of, luckily I don't live very close to the set, so I have a bit of a drive home, and during that drive I just put some happy music on and just switch off. And I try not to take my work home with me as well. I try and learn my lines at work, so that when I'm at home I'm just mum. So yeah.
That's such a cool thing to do, because as you say, like those drives do become really important to you, to that transition back from
Yeah,
Maria back to Samia, and you do
yeah,
need that time, don't you? And I think this COVID situation has given a lot of people time to reflect and to look at different parts of their life. I mean, what would you say for you that you've had any, changes in your thought patterns or looked at your life differently and gone, actually, maybe I need to slow down in this, or maybe I don't need to do that, or it could be fitness or anything like that. Lots of people have been in that
Mm.
situation.
Yeah, I think it's put a lot in perspective, hasn't it, for most people this last year. I'm I'm quite a grateful person anyway. I'm always, praying and thanking God for what I've got and everything. But I think especially this last year, it's my heart is just full of gratitude for what I've got, and actually just being at home with my family is where I'm happiest. Like I knew that anyway, but going out of lockdown, um, I I don't go out a lot anyway. I'm not like a social butterfly. I've never been like that. So I'm always happier with a takeaway at home than going out to
And me.
bars and yeah. So that's gonna stick because it's always been like that. But yeah, I think going out, I'm just realizing I don't have to do, like you say, a lot of what I was doing. It's not necessary. I can just be at home, and I don't have to fill the weekends. Like I used to
Yeah.
think, especially having kids, I think, oh, I've not got anything planned this weekend for the kids. I need to do something or take them somewhere or, go somewhere. And now I'm actually, you know what? No, we don't. We can just be at home and we can just go for nice little walks. We don't have to do crazy stuff every weekend. We can just relax and, make the most of what we've got at home.
But don't you think so much of that does come from like a social pressure? Because I know exactly how you feel with that. And then when
Mm,
you do become a mum, you're kind of like, okay, we need to be activities, we need to do this, and then
yeah.
you can see other mums doing it, and you're like, oh,
Yes,
maybe we should be doing this, and I'm not doing it, and it
definitely.
makes you feel bad.
Absolutely. I think social media has a lot to answer for with that kind of thing as well, because I've been guilty of it myself. I'll be scrolling through Instagram and looking like what other people are doing with their kids. And then I'll say to Sylvan, why aren't we doing that? We need to do this. And why don't we go there? And we should try this. And actually, we don't have to do any of that. The kids are happy enough playing in the garden or knocking on for the friends and having play dates with them. So yeah, we don't have to rush around and do crazy stuff. I never did that when I was a kid. I don't think my mum ever took me to places like Alton Towers, or I never went to Blackpool Illuminations or anything
Like
like
even the
that.
things like I was saying to my Freddie, like clip and climb, these like climbing
Yeah,
walls or things like that. You're right, like I didn't. I think I was lucky if I got
no,
to go to the cinema like once every 3 months or something.
absolutely. I remember going to McDonald's with six of my friends for my 10th birthday and thinking that was amazing. But now, for like my daughter's 10th birthday, we had like, it was like the Queen. She had about three different birthdays, like loads of different celebrations with all her friends. We had a teepee party, we had a big disco with all her friends from school, and we took her out for meals. It's crazy, really, isn't it? You
It
don't need
is.
to do all that.
And as you said though, with social media, that's where the divide it starts, doesn't it? There, because then you
Yeah.
kind of go the comparison thing of going, oh, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, or I should look
Yeah.
like this, or I'm not healthy enough, and it's a dangerous spiral, really. And I mean, how old your daughter? Is your daughter coming up to being a teenager now?
Well, she's 11. She's going to high school in September, and she calls herself a tween. She's like, yeah, she's practically a teenager in her head.
But that is a difficult age, I expect, for kids when they're wanting to kind of go into social media. Because, like, do you let them
Yeah,
have an account? Do you not? Because
I
you know
know.
yourself, like, the effect it can have on you. So, what will it have on them? Because this whole social media world is a scary
Oh,
place. It's scary enough for
yeah,
adults, and you get
yeah.
trolls. And is that something that you do worry about with the kids?
Oh, definitely, Natalie. Like, I'm constantly policing. She's got a TikTok account. It's private, but I'm constantly policing it to make sure that she's not looking at anything that's inappropriate. And we've got all the settings on, all the privacy and security settings on it and everything. But it's still a worry because we've got all these friendship groups on the iMessage groups and stuff. And there's now and again someone will send something, a picture that's inappropriate, or they'll say something, or one of the kids will swear, or you're like, how do I deal with this? It's all just sort of winging my way through it all at the moment.
It is hard because I heard Fred having a conversation with his friends. He plays like on his games and they've got headsets, and I could hear him going, he's so toxic. And I was like, what?
What?
Who are you talking about? And he's
What?
like, so and so is really toxic. I was like, why are you using that word? He's like, well, it just
Yeah,
means that they're being mean. And I'm thinking, how has this language like infiltrated our kids' language?
I
Do you know what I
know.
mean? It's so hard, isn't it? And as you
Yeah,
say, I feel like I'm completely winging it. I've no idea
yeah,
half the time. And you do have to be
yeah,
a bit of a policeman. But,
yeah.
I
We
mean,
just,
I'm like, help.
I know. I think we all are really. I think it's just sort of getting advice from each other, isn't it, as we go along. I've been saying quite recently, everyone gives you so much advice when you have a baby on what you should and shouldn't do with a baby. But actually, when they get to this age, we've got no advice. We just like, it's like swimming at the deep end without a float. Because I'm just like, every day is an adventure with Freya at the moment.
I
With
said
Eve,
this.
it's a bit easier because he's only 5.
Yeah.
So I can sort of control it a bit more. But Freya's just like, she's off.
Well, I said that to James. I said, "Isn't it difficult?" I said because we said the same things. Like when they're little, or they're a baby, and you know, you're like, right, you need to sleep now. You need to do this, and
Yeah.
they kind of do it. And now they're at
Yeah.
this age where they're like, you know, between 8 and 11, it's I'm doing this when I want to do it. There's this constant tussle of like who's going
Yeah.
to win this battle, and I'm still going. I don't really know whether I'm an adult yet. You know, I
I
can't
know.
do it properly.
Totally. It's really hard to know what to do because you want to give them the freedom to be themselves, but at the same time, you want to be there for them and try and guide them. But I am trying to guide her, but I'm conscious of not making her be what I want her to be. I want her to be her own person, but I'm just kind of I've got to keep a really close eye on it because of all the outside influences with social media and friendship groups and stuff. It's all a minefield.
It is definitely, and as you were saying there, you know, with social media, I mean, it's hard enough for us as grown women, kind of like I
Yeah,
find it's really difficult. And obviously, you know, we've got filters on there, you've got all kinds
yeah,
of different stuff that's kind of really skewering the beauty ideals. You know,
hmm, yeah,
I mean, I definitely do feel sometimes some pressure, like with what people look like, and you're trying to think, no, I want, like on my Instagram, I try and make it as natural as possible, and I know that that's
yeah.
not for everybody, but personally for me, because I've got a younger sister who's 15, 16,
Oh wow,
I
right.
want, I want her to see me kind of looking like me rather
Yeah,
than loads of filters. I mean, do you feel like that, especially in, you know, having the profile that you do?
definitely with Freya. I feel really strongly about it. I mean, I guess we both know people that on Instagram you're like, that's not actually what you look like in the flesh.
Yeah.
And there's people who say, no, I don't edit my pictures, and you're like, you don't look like that, and it's not fair to put that image out there for people to think that they need to look like that when actually those people themselves don't even look like that. And I tell Freya, I'm trying to instill that into her because I've done photo shoots over the years where I've happily done the photo shoot, and then afterwards I've looked at the pictures and thought, my waist doesn't look like that, or my skin didn't look like that day, and at the time you're like, oh great, I look better. But actually now with hindsight you kind of go, yeah, but that's putting out an unrealistic image for people, isn't it? And it can be the source of a lot of problems for kids now, can't
It
it?
definitely can, and there's some brilliant influencers actually out there. You know, people like Alex Lai. I don't know if you follow her, but she's been really
No.
championing against diet culture and kind of for our decade, like of women, of what we were brought up with. Like even the whole Bridget Jones thing and big pants, and she was
Yeah,
only like a size 10. It was ridiculous. So
I
she
know.
really challenges that and has put, you know, pictures next to each other, going, "This is airbrushed and this is not," because I think it's really important, not just for young women, for women in general, to
Hmm.
see what people actually look like. I mean, you know, we obviously saw very recently Khloe Kardashian getting really upset about the picture that was out of her,
And
and
how amazing did
she
she
looked
look?
amazing. That's what I thought. I was like,
Yeah,
she looks unreal. She looks actually
yeah.
incredible, it
She's
was
got a
so
gorgeous
sad.
figure.
It was felt
Yeah,
really sad that she felt the need to not show her as she was, because as you say, she looked
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. But I
But
guess they get used to looking at pictures of themselves in a certain way, don't they? And when they see a real picture, they're not happy with it because they see flaws. But actually, everyone's flawed. Nobody's perfect.
I mean, like for you, Sammy, like as I said, you always look really fresh faced, really beautiful. I mean, what is your kind of approach to skincare and your beauty routine? Are you a quick person, or do you indulge? Do you like skincare? Do you like beauty products?
I do. I like beauty products. I've never like had Botox or anything. I'm not. I'm too scared. I think I'm not. I mean, God, never say never, but I haven't had it. I try and just really look after my skin. I drink so much water, constantly going for a week because I drink water constantly. And yeah, try and get my 8 hours sleep a night. Now the kids are a bit older. that's a bit
Easier.
more attainable. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I do the usual. Just I take my makeup off every night with like cleansing balm as opposed to wipes because I think they can clog your skin a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I put serums and all sorts on my face. I'm just trying everything I can to like hold back the years.
You're coming up to your late 30s, nearly 40. I'm 40 this year.
Yeah.
I say this every week on the podcast,
Oh,
everybody.
you
So
look
sorry.
amazing, Natalie.
Oh my God, so this year, but the amount of people that'll be going, you tell us this every week, like on this podcast. Because it's like preparing myself. But I
Yeah,
agree
you like
with you.
instilling it in yourself. That's
Yeah,
funny.
because I think, I do try all the different things as well. And for me, diet is a big thing. I try to eat
Absolutely.
well. And I saw that you'd, been making celery juice and stuff. Is that
Yes.
something as well that you look at?
Yeah, I do. I like the celery juice. It's just in the morning, and I've recently started straining it because I was doing it, and I was like drinking the pulp, and it was pretty gross. But if you get a nut milk bag and strain it through that, it's absolutely fine. It's a really mild taste, but it's just so good for you. I like to try and start the day with something like that.
And and your husband as well, he's a professional ice dancer. I mean, it has to be really
Yeah,
fit. Do you two, your approach to fitness, do you ever train together or are you like me and
gosh, no.
James who are like, no, we'll keep it, you do.
We're so not. Like after I had Eve, our son, he was like, I said, it's all postnatal, and I was thinking I need to get back in my jeans or whatever. So he trained me a little bit, and we just ended up rowing constantly because he'd try and get me to do things, and I'd end up like swearing at him, and he'd throw me out the gym. So no, yeah, we've decided it's not great to train together, and also I don't really like the gym. I like doing my yoga. I go for the odd run when I can be bothered, when I get motivation. But I do my yoga every day, and that's more than anything for my mental health. But obviously, it has physical health benefits too. So I stick with that.
And where did you kind of develop that interest from? Lots of people do swear by yoga and they find it in different places. For you, where did you start with yoga?
It was just on YouTube. I found Adrian, Yoga with Adrian on YouTube, and I'd never done it before, and I really wasn't flexible. And like, a lot of people say, oh, I'm not flexible, so I can't do yoga, but that's exactly why you should do yoga. So I just started doing it. I was, at the time, my anxiety was quite bad, and I was looking for something to kind of calm me down, but keep me moving at the same time. And for me, that's great. I don't like sweating or anything like that, so yoga's perfect for me. It's just enough. But now I do it on the app. I've got the Find What Feels Good app, the Yoga with Adrian app, and it's brilliant.
Oh, that's amazing. And I bet you could do that at
Yeah.
work as well. I used to do stuff like that with
Yeah.
when I was at Emmerdale in my dressing room in between, scenes.
Yeah,
Oh, I've got 15 minutes.
exactly. That's exactly it. In fact, I did it this week. Yeah. I always do it in between scenes when I can, because if you've got a really busy day, you think, how can I fit it in? But you can always, like you say, squeeze in 15 minutes somewhere.
And, as I said earlier, you did take part in Dancing on Ice in 2013 and got through to week 8, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, that show is the most dangerous show ever. I mean, look at this year, so many people had to retire out of it. Would you say you're a thrill seeker?
I'm so not. I'm really not. I'm so careful. I'm such a worrier with everything. So looking back, I think, what was I thinking? It was actually the one show that I always said I'd never do. And at the time, my agent was saying, oh, you should do something else. Like, you've not done anything other than curry for years, and like spread your wings a bit. So I was like, right, okay, yeah. So it was either The Jungle or Dancing on Ice that year. And I didn't fancy eating cockroaches. So that's how I ended up doing it. And I remember on the first day, I was thinking, what am I doing? I can't even ice skate. I was like Bambi on ice. I thought, how am I going to dance on ice? This is ridiculous. I actually fell on my head the week I met Sylvan, because I got concussion and whiplash. I was skating on my own, and I just had a wrist operation, so I couldn't put my arms out to stop me.
Oh.
So I went straight on my head and got concussion and whiplash. Like, that should have been like a warning sign.
But
But
you got back on with it, and you went with it. I mean, how did you overcome that? Because you must have been nervous, and like you said, you do suffer from anxiety, and that can be horrendous.
Oh, it was awful. I think when my first week of Dancing on Ice, my weight, I think I weighed just under 7 stone. I couldn't eat. couldn't eat anything. Sylvan was like giving me donuts for a bit of sugar because my anxiety was so bad. I couldn't sleep. Yeah, it was just awful. I was running on empty really for the first couple of weeks because I was so nervous. But yeah, I think as it went on, I got a bit more confident. But I was quite scared of skating on my own because I'd fallen on my head when I was skating on my own. So if it was with Sylvan and holding his hand, I was fine. And I was up for any lift because that got me off the ice. I was like, just take me off the ice, lift me.
And I'd be like, just keep me down. Don't put me up there. I just want to be on the floor.
I just thought, do you know what? He's not going to drop me. Let's do the headbanger. It's fine. It's all on him. So it's fine.
And do you think you learned something about yourself doing that show? You know, as you said, you had to kind of overcome it, and it is a live show and you're having to do it every week. And did you think, actually, I'm braver than I thought I was?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like I say, it was the one show that I was always scared of doing, and I just thought, you know what, let's do something that's going to scare me and put me out of my comfort zone, and it really did. And actually, looking back, it's one of the proudest things that I've done. Looking back, it was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's nice watching it back with the kids as well now, and yeah, I'm quite proud to watch it back. Definitely, it was an amazing experience. It was a brilliant show.
On it, and you looked incredible, and you know it is
bless you.
Show and everything, and you know, as we've seen this year, it was lovely to watch the montage actually. You know, when they did their anniversary show, and it was really fabulous to see how many people actually have come through on that show and done brilliantly. And you know, it is so tough. You are basically dancing on razor blades.
On concrete. Pretty much something as hard as concrete anyway. Would you ever do it?
Oh no, I think I'd no, I get really scared about, you remember when Kay Burley bashed her face in? Do you remember doing the headbanger? And that terrifies me because I'm weak in, I feel like I've got brittle bones. I probably don't have, but I think I have. So I think if I fell, I'd be like, oh, smashed. I think I'd rather eat the cockroaches, to be honest with you. I mean, that terrifies me.
Then.
No, I don't want to do that either. I'll be like, I'll just do Strictly or something nice like that. That's
do MasterChef, do some cooking.
That's it. Like that. Cooking, but I can't actually cook either, so I'm not very good at any of these. But you know, I mean, as you said, you know, that was a challenge, and obviously talking of challenges, did you homeschool this year, and how did you get on with it?
Goodness. Oh wow, I mean, that was an experience and a half. It was just, I printed off so many worksheets. It's ridiculous. I was so done with it. And what I figured out is, which I kind of already knew, is that I'm terrible at maths. I can't even do year 6 maths. It's really bad. Even Eve, like, it, as I say, he's 5 and he's in reception, but some of the stuff is just exhausting. Like, I've got so much respect for teachers now. Having the patience to like deal with kids like one-on-one. It's it's a proper challenge, that. And nearly as hard as dancing on ice.
And having 2 of them as well at different ages, that must have been really hard.
Yeah, because they're not obviously at the same stage at all. So I was just flitting from Freya to Eve. But luckily, Sylvan's great at maths, so he helped Freya loads with her maths. And yeah, we just kind of got through it. You've just got to get your head down and get through it, haven't you? We've come out the other side, thank goodness.
Absolutely. And you know, you yourself, you are no stranger to adversity. You know, you lost your dad in 2009 to cancer, and you were pregnant at the same time with Freya. I mean, that must have been a truly horrendous experience for you. And how did you deal with that? You know, when you are in difficult situations, like what are your coping mechanisms?
I don't know, actually. I think looking back, for the couple of years after my dad died, I think I don't know, I think it kind of hit me afterwards, after I had Freya, because like you say, he died when I was pregnant with her. I was 11 weeks pregnant at the time. And luckily I told him that I was pregnant with Freya. In 2008, he got diagnosed, and he always said, I'm not going anywhere till I see your baby. Yeah, like I say, luckily I told him that I was pregnant. And then after he died, I felt it was kind of a weird time, because I was happy to be pregnant, but at the same time, I felt guilty for being happy, because that meant I wasn't being sad about my dad dying. And then I was thinking, I'm being too sad about my dad dying when I should be happy that I'm pregnant. Do you know what I mean? So you kind of, it was just like a double-edged sword. And then after Freya was born, I think it was just a really tough time. I don't even know how I'd describe it. It's just a weird, grief hits you in different ways, and I don't think it hit me properly until afterwards.
And I think you're right, and obviously for you, you're in a profile position where people are looking at you, and having those down days is a difficult thing to do. And there'll be
Mm,
lots of people now, that are really struggling with grief because so many
yeah.
people have passed, and it's a really difficult time, isn't it? As you say, what do you think would works best? Just time, probably giving yourself time and allowing yourself to actually feel those emotions.
Absolutely, and not feeling guilty for being however, if you have a good day, don't feel guilty about it. And if you'd sad one day for the whole day, don't feel guilty about just be, and just let the time pass. Like you say, it never, people say, oh, it gets easier. It doesn't. It just gets different, and you just have your life in a different way than you would have if your loved one was still there. Do you know what I mean? Like I still talk about my dad all the time. My kids talk about him even though they've never met him, because they feel like they knew him because we talk about him so much. So he's still around us, just obviously not physically. But yeah, grief's a horrible thing. It's an awful thing to go through. I really feel for everyone who's lost someone, especially this last year. It's just a horrible time. It's so difficult. We lost a family member just over a month ago at the start of March, who was
Oh, I'm
close,
sorry.
and young, and it was really sudden, and it was really difficult because the funeral, you just want to hug your relatives and you can't, and it's such a horrible thing, and it's a horrible time to lose someone because you just can't hug each other, can you? And you can't be
It
there for
is.
each other how you normally would.
Absolutely. We lost my uncle last year in last May, and,
Right.
and again the same, it's so difficult. And watching the
Mm,
Queen over the weekend, on her own, and I think collectively we all just wanted to hug her, and because we all know in the last year that feeling of being separated, from holding hands and hugging, and just
yeah,
that's our natural go-to, isn't it? Is to kind of comfort each
yeah,
other. And it's very
absolutely.
difficult.
It's really hard. It is. It's really hard. But hopefully, we're coming out the other end soon.
Hopefully, yes. And one of the other things I
Yeah.
wanted to chat to you about was, you are of dual heritage. Your dad was French Lebanese, your mum's English. And, growing up in the 80s, was that ever difficult for you? I know for me, growing up in Bradford, it was hard. It wasn't what it is now. If you would had a dual heritage, there was some. Well, I know I suffered from like racist slurs and everything like that when I was younger. I just wondered what your experience was at that time.
Yeah, I did experience racism when I was a kid. Because obviously my name isn't English.
Mm.
My name's Samia was not not anywhere near an English name. And my dad owned an off license on the estate where I grew up. We grew up on this council estate in Salford. And it was great. Like, I've got brilliant memories in my childhood, but there were times when I would be called racist names because of where my dad was from. Um, and they wouldn't even get the country right. You're like, he's not even from Pakistan or India or whatever else you're saying, is actually from Lebanon, and it's a different continent. And I think it's just an ignorance, isn't it? It's not like damaged me for life or anything, but it certainly has made me appreciate what people who are victims of racism go through, and it's awful. It's horrible.
Absolutely, it does give you a much more a compassionate and sympathetic view for what other people do
Yeah.
go through. And I think as well, what's amazing and what the soaps have been particularly brilliant at is championing diversity in general over many, many years. I think the soaps have been at the forefront of it all
Mm.
along, really. And I think that must be, I know it's something that I'm proud of. It must be something that you've been proud of as well, to be part of Coronation Street that has really pushed boundaries in that area.
Yeah, definitely. They tackle some brilliant issues, don't they? And like you say, open people's eyes to things. So yeah, no, it's good.
If you could give yourself any words of wisdom at the age that you are now to your younger 17-year-old self, shall we say, what would you tell her?
Oh gosh, don't worry so much. Like, chill out. I think I've spent my whole life worrying, like I've mentioned, I've like had anxiety from being a child because I was literally born worrying. So yeah, probably just don't worry as much. Although I'm still telling myself that now, so I don't know.
You won't believe how many women say this to me. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
would say back to, oh, just don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. It's fine.
yeah.
But we
I
do
mean,
though, don't
it's
we?
easy to say, isn't it? It's not so easy to put in practice when you're a worrier, I
And
guess.
I think as well, when you do have to go on that journey of learning a kind of like, okay, these are my close people. These are the
Yeah,
people, whose opinion really matter to me, and this other on the periphery, not so much.
absolutely. Yeah, definitely. It's quality, not quantity, when it comes to like friendships, isn't it?
Absolutely. Now, Samia, we have run out of time today, but it's been absolutely
Oh,
amazing to chat to you.
thank you for having me. It's been gorgeous to catch up.
Yeah, really, really lovely to see your beautiful, shining, lovely face.
Same back to you, Mrs.
I hope you guys at home have enjoyed being with us and that we've given you a nice excuse for a bit of time to yourself. Don't forget that Coronation Street is on ITV on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and you can catch up with all episodes at the ITV Hub. If you'd like more wellbeing, fashion, and beauty, then you can always visit our website at www.thecapsule.co.uk, where you can also catch up with our previous podcast episodes by visiting the In Conversation page and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Do leave us your rates and reviews. I do love reading them, so please leave them if you can. It's always amazing to see your comments. And if you're a social butterfly, you can also catch us on Instagram and Facebook at Official Capsule. I will be back next week with another very lovely and special guest. But today, all that's left for us to say is goodbye. So it's bye from Samia.
Bye bye. Thank you.
And goodbye from me. This episode of The Capsule in Conversation was brought to you by Harrogate Spring Water. Bottled at source, Harrogate Spring offers a pure, refreshing taste with a delicate blend of naturally occurring minerals and electrolytes, perfect for healthy hydration.